host, Ms. Simula Bhutta, and are part of Rehan AI Institute, Teachers Institute. And today we have the honor of speaking with Aaron Marcus, an actor, a model, coach, and author with over 40 years of experience and nearly 1,300 bookings. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing right now?
I am doing great. And Nassim, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it and look forward to sharing information that I hope will be helpful to other people.
Thank you very much. Uh, to the very beginning, or very onset of our interview, I would like to ask some questions. Let's start from the beginning. What you can say with nearly 1,300 bookings, what first drew you to acting and what keeps you motivated after all these years?
Wow, that's a great question. It's a complicated one. So I did things a little bit differently than most actors that I know. I mean, most people I know grew up just knowing that this is something they wanted to do. And that was not the case for me. I didn't get started into the acting business until much later in life, like late 20s. No interest in acting, never thought about acting, liked watching movies, liked watching TV shows. But as far as appearing in them, never had a thought of that. And while I was a college student for the second time in my life, I needed a part time job and I needed one that was flexible, one that paid a pretty good amount, and one that I thought I would enjoy. And I met an actor and he told me what he did. And I thought, wow, that sounds like a perfect part time job. So that's really how I got started, um, just because I needed a part time job and I didn't want to be a waiter and I didn't want to, do the other typical things, that actors do to try to earn some money. And after doing it for 2 years part time, I decided that I was enjoying it so much that I wanted to give it a shot and try it full time for 1 year just to see what it was like. And I was getting some work, which really surprised me. Could I continue to get work? Could I live with the uncertainty? I mean, it's a very difficult business, as is any kind of job where you are self-employed, which you are. And it's a crazy kind of job in the sense you finish working on something and now you're unemployed again until you get hired again, which sometimes happens very quickly. Sometimes there are long stretches. So to the second part of your question, what has kept me motivated, I guess part of it is that I really don't have many other skills. so so it's not like I could say, well, okay, well, I'm going to go back into being a psychotherapist, or I'm going to go back into being a teacher. Although I do private mentoring on the side, but I was never a classroom teacher or professor or anything like that. Oh, well, I have given workshops to colleges, but that was just like a one-time shot. So that really helps keep me motivated. Also, just understanding that although my children are older and they're out of the house and they have their own jobs, but for many, many, many years, um, I had to pay the bills. My wife worked. And so we needed to, live a life. And I can tell you, that's quite a motivation. Just knowing that you've got bills to pay and you've got to be able to pay them. So when things were slow, and they always are, I mean, that's just the way the industry works, I get even more motivated to doing things to get more jobs happening. And it is so interesting when you mentioned that. So I do these free weekly quick tip videos on my YouTube channel. And the one that I just shot, and it's going to be airing next week, it's all about 5 secrets of how to get acting work. And so one of them is marketing yourself and getting out there and making sure that people know who you are and things like that. So hopefully that answered your question in a very long roundabout way.
Wonderful, wonderful. At the beginning, you started your, you can say, journey as a part-time job, but later on it becomes your full-time job. But you can say that said in a very true and honest way that you can say it was, you can say at the very beginning, you are thorough gentleman that you shared each and everything about that. Okay, I want to one more question about a wonderful, you can say, movie you have done with Tom Hanks, A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks. What was the like filming that intense pain, or you can say station scene? What was going through at that moment? You were standing by Tom Hanks, and suddenly you fell on the tracks, and you didn't care. You can hit the, you can see the tracks.
Yeah, that I tell you, that was such a great experience. So when I initially auditioned for that role, and and by the way, the movie, it's the American version of, I believe it's a Swedish version, and um, uh, it's a really good movie. And Tom Hanks is such, besides being a wonderful actor, he is even a better human being. He is very humble. He's very thankful. We're working outside, and it's cold. It's pretty cold. We're on the platform of these railroad tracks, and he's walking around to the extras, just saying, "Thank you so much for being out here. I know it's uncomfortable. Really appreciate everything you're doing." Just a really nice person. So audition, book the role, and I was told they're going to have a stunt double for me because in the scene, if you haven't seen A Man Called Otto, um, we're at a railroad station outside on the platform, and my character, the business guy, he falls over and well, he has a heart attack and then falls over and lands face first onto the railroad ties. And there's snow out there, like I said, and it's cold. So they told me I was going to have a stunt double, which I expected because I'm not a stunt actor. And so we shoot the scene, and I was standing behind the camera because I wanted to watch this guy work. He was really good. This guy has done a million stunt performances in many, many films and TV shows. And he was just incredible. They gave him the same wardrobe as I was wearing. And all of a sudden, they would, shoot to his back as he's falling over because they had already gotten my face as I'm walking to the edge of the track, and then they would just cut it. And later in the day, I was asked if I was comfortable doing the stunt. And something that I've learned in this industry, and I guess in life in general, I say yes a lot. Not always, but I say yes a lot. And I said, sure, sure, I'd love to try it. So I immediately had a meeting with the stunt coordinator because I had no idea what I was doing. And it was dangerous. It was a very dangerous stunt. I mean, I'm falling 8 feet face first, onto a platform or the railroad tracks. Now, they did have cushions down there. So after I felt comfortable doing it, then I practiced it on my own, not actually falling over. That wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was walking from the back of the platform. And I knew approximately how many steps I needed to take. I knew where my foot needed to feel in order to properly fall off and land on the pillows, on the cushions. And also learn that you don't fall face first because you can break your neck doing that. You have to land on the side of your face. So anyhow, did it twice. Fortunately, we didn't have to do it any more than that because it was dangerous. And they wound up using my take in it, which I understood why, because if you ever watch the movie, and actually, if you go to my website, it's howtoactamodel.com, you can see that little clip right on the front of my website. And it shows the entire progression of me walking up and then me falling over. They didn't have to cut away or anything. So I'm sure that's why they did it. But it was an amazing experience. And I'll tell you something that I learned from Tom Hanks that I just think is invaluable. And a lot of this holds true in many businesses, but especially for acting. If you are on a movie set, typically the atmosphere of the set starts at the director. And if the director seems like a nice person and treats other people well, that filters down to everybody on the set. Or sometimes it's the star, if it's a big star. And I remember walking over to Tom Hanks at one point, because we spent 2 or 3 days together. And I remember just saying to him just how much I appreciated the atmosphere that he created on the set. People were really nice. And you just want to do everything. Oh, sorry about that. You just want to do everything you possibly can to make something good happen. And when I mentioned to him just how much I appreciated, what he did on the set, he just looked at me and he said, "Aaron, look, we're all on the same team here. We all have one goal. We all want to make something great, whether it's the crew, whether it's the catering, whether it's craft services where you get all the little treats throughout the day, whether it's the, director or assistant director or the PAs, production assistant, everybody, we're all working together as one team." And after he said that, besides the fact that I thought it was just brilliant, it made me think, like when you were saying, how did I get to that place of lying down there and looking, as if I was in pain? I mean, I could feel some of the pain on my shin as I'm laying on metal tracks in snow, in cold weather, being incredibly wet. I wasn't wearing anything underneath it. My suit, my jacket and suit. And I just kept hearing, "Hey, let's all make something great together." And I would have done anything to make that happen. So, I could feel some of the pain. I wasn't like in real pain, but I could feel some of the pain, the uncomfortableness. And that's what I was thinking of while I'm on the ground and as he's lifting me up to save me from, getting run over by a train.
That's great. A wonderful story. You are a risk taker. It means you proved that you are a risk taker. You do
Well,
not look for others.
excuse me for saying, so I'm a risk taker, and you're right. It is true, I am right, but I do it in a smart way. Like, for instance, I never would have done that stunt had I not been able to meet with the stunt coordinator. And I also talked with some of the other stunt actors. And even like, it's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I never really viewed it that way for myself. It's just kind of like, I just want to open myself up and see what happens. And so I guess you're really right. I guess hey, this is a great therapy session here. I guess I am a risk taker. But what I do is I open up, I see things, I feel things, and if it seems interesting, I'll approach it and see if it seems right to me. Even like, you would mention, and thank you, in my bio, I mean, I've done over 800 workshops spanning 3 continents. So I used to travel a whole lot more. I'm not traveling as much now. I'm doing more things virtually. But I remember, and this was decades ago, where there was an agent who called me, somebody I know. It was about like a 4-hour drive away. And she said, "Look, I know you get a lot of commercial modeling work," which is modeling for real looking people, sometimes beautiful, which I'm not, or handsome, which I'm not, but it's not fashion modeling. And she said, I wanted to ask, would you mind coming down and talking to my actors about commercial modeling, so you can kind of teach them? I said, "Sure, I'm more than happy to do that." And I'd never done a workshop before in my life. And I put together an hour talk. drove the 4 hours, went down there, wasn't getting paid anything, just thought it was a nice thing to do. And I shared information. And that 1 hour talk actually turned into a book, which went through 6 editions. How to become a successful commercial model. It turned into doing a lot more workshops, turned into full day workshops. And then eventually that book, How to Become a Successful Commercial Model, turned into How to Become a Successful Actor and Model. So yeah, just like one little thing, somebody asking me, I said yes. Then I had to figure out what I was going to do. And yeah, that turned into something that I absolutely love doing. So anyhow, thank you for mentioning that.
It seems that I have to another UK interview about that book. That is a fantastic and engaging book that I have to go through that book personally. You are talking about, and it will, you can say, that serve a lot of people here in my country who are want to take interest in acting and modeling. And here is a, you can say, great market for such kind of people. Okay, I want to, you can say, ask a few more questions.
Sure.
What was in the like working with Tom Hanks? Did he share any, you can, memorable advice or sport in the on the set? But when you were, you can, standing with Tom Hanks on the platform, he was quite obsessed, or you can say, absorbed in his own thoughts. And I was thinking, when we were, going down on the track, he may ignore you at that moment because he was so obsessed in his own thoughts. And his official expression showed that he was not at, you can, good condition himself at that moment. But later on, he empathized your condition and take the risks to save you. And after that, you can say, felt that he was in, you can say, in a better mood as compared to the, you can say, before that time. And he was himself rescued by another, you can say, the person. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a beautiful scene. It really was. I mean, this guy was tormented. He lost his wife. He was angry. He was lost. And he didn't find anything in this world that was really helping him. And so that's the place that he was at. And he was, look, while we're shooting the scene, of course, I'm not saying anything because I'm just thinking about, and you know, and just to kind of jump in there for just 1 second, when I was looking at the script, there was no information about what caused my character to land on the railroad tracks. And it could have been anything from suicide, could have been this guy tripped, and I wasn't sure. So I'll get back to your question, but it just kind of popped up in my head, and I really haven't shared this before. So what I decided to do was I made a decision, and I think this is really helpful for all actors. Don't try, if you're auditioning for something, don't start thinking, I wonder what the casting director is thinking of. I wonder what the director is looking for. Get rid of that idea in your mind, because quite often they don't know. They just want to be presented with something that's interesting, that makes them go, ooh, that's interesting. I like that. So I decided to take a stand, and I decided this guy had a heart attack. That's what made me fall off the track. So I immediately went onto YouTube, because fortunately I've never had a heart attack, and hopefully I never will. And I went onto YouTube to start doing some research. You know, what are the symptoms? What do you actually feel? How does it manifest itself? And so when I showed up on the set, way before we started shooting, I asked if I could talk to the director, and he was having breakfast. I felt a little uncomfortable, and the director was really, really nice. He said, no, come on in. So I told him about my idea, that I'm thinking this guy has a heart attack, and that he goes, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Do it. So that's what got me to figuring out what I wanted to do with that character. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. whatever you do during the audition, it might be right, it might be wrong for the character, and in many ways, it doesn't even matter. What matters is, do you look right for the part, and do you bring something interesting to the audition? Does it sound conversational? Does it seem believable? And even if you take the character in the wrong direction, and quite often, it's not uncommon that you might, because most of the time we're not given the entire script for an audition. You get the sides, the short portion of your script. So you don't really know what's going on, the scene before, the scene afterwards. And so as long as you do something that's interesting and you look right for the part, that should at least get you a callback where they want to see you again. And then they can give you notes. They can give you more direction. And by the way, once again, on a little bit of a side note, don't make this mistake that a lot of actors do. They get a callback and now they're reading again, and they let their ego get in the way. And they want to show the director how talented they are. And they will, they read it one way during the audition, and now they want to show them, you know what, I am such a good actor. I'm going to give you a completely different read just to show you my range and how skillful I am. Don't do that, because they brought you back because they found what you did interesting. So, as a matter of fact, I have a quick tip video that you can watch all about this on my channel. And by the way, you can just go to my website, once again, howtoactamodel.com, click on the YouTube icon, and you'll be able to watch it. But what you want to do is wear the same wardrobe that you wore for the first audition, because once again, they think you look right for the part. Let them see you that way again and read it the same way. And if they want to change, if they want to give you new ideas, they'll tell you there. So it was a long-winded way of kind of getting back to your question with Tom Hanks. And so, as a guy who just had a heart attack, I'm not watching anything with him. I'm dazed from this fall. My head is cut. I'm bleeding. I don't know what's going on. I don't realize that there's a train really coming. I'm just in this altered state from this fall. The only thing that kind of took me out of that place a little bit, and once again, I've never shared this, but to make things easier for Tom Hanks, I made sure that I wasn't just dead weight on the ground, that he had to lift up and then carry me over to the platform, and then people were pulling me up. I didn't want him to hurt his back or anything. You would never notice this, but my legs were kind of moving a little bit to help propel myself, to make it easier for him. So basically, we were kind of working in tandem to get me up and over, so he didn't have to do a lot of lifting. But yeah, his role in there, it is so powerful, of just being oblivious to everything. He is just focused on, should I be getting to a place of seeing my wife again? And then all of a sudden he kind of gets snapped out of it because nobody is doing anything. There's a guy who falls onto the railroad tracks and people are just taking, selfies and taking short videos that they're going to upload to social media, which it's also a really interesting commentary on today's world, that, here's a guy who just fell and you're just watching him and taking video so you can post it.
That's great. You are quite observant in each scene. I missed that you were trying and your legs were moving over there. I couldn't observe that. You shared with me. That's a wonderful thing. And one thing more. Beware, my image was stolen. Here's how I got paid. What is that still?
Yeah, it was.
My audience.
Yeah.
When I gone through this, you can say statement, my image was stolen. I was astonished. What happened to Aaron?
It was. I tell you, I don't understand people sometimes. So I did a quick. So what you're talking about is another quick tip video that I posted recently. How my image was stolen. Person didn't ask, and they just started using it for an ad campaign. And so what happened was I had a YouTube video, a quick tip video, and in the thumbnail, there's a picture of me and I'm holding a check in my hand. And somebody, an actor who I didn't know, it was so nice of him. And it kind of gives you faith in people sometimes when people do these kinds of things. And he tracked me down and he said, hey, I just want to let you know, in case you don't know, your image is being used for some kind of energy company. I said, really? And he sent me the link and I looked at it. And yeah, they used my image from the thumbnail and they were using it to advertise a energy company. And I was so angry about this because it's illegal. You can't just take somebody's image and use it for your own purpose. And so I had to do a lot of detective work, and I called the company, the energy company, and they said, well, we had nothing to do with it. We hired an ad agency to do it. So I got the name of the ad agency. Eventually, I tracked down the person, and I told the person, I stayed really calm, and I just said, hey, look, I'd like to settle this between us. I don't want to have to go to court. I don't want to bring in attorneys, but I need to be reimbursed for the usage of my image, and you need to stop using it immediately. And I had spoken with an attorney ahead of time, just asking him, like, about how much do you think I should be asking for? And he gave me a range. And when I spoke to the guy, I mentioned it to him, and he agreed to it. And actually, we remained friendly. I mean, there was something else we almost did together, which didn't come through. But, the guy was a decent person. And I guess the thing that I didn't understand is, if he had just contacted me and said, hey, this image that you have, it's perfect for this ad campaign, what would it cost for me to do it? I would have charged him a lot less than what he wound up paying for it. But it's like, why would you try to steal something that it's illegal to do? But anyhow, it all got worked out. And I also wanted to share that with other people, not only just about the story, but more importantly about the fellow actor who came to my aid and said, hey, I just want to let you know, it looks like somebody is using your image without your permission. So I greatly appreciated that.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's you can say interesting one episode of your honesty, and people should be you do some legal things, avoid illegality. You can say illegal things in our day life. One of the questions on that you are a successful model, and how did you get started your modeling, and what was your first experience? This industry is quite, you can say, the cruel in the industry. What would you like to say?
Yeah. So, and I do remember it was my very first job. It wasn't my very first job was not an acting job. It was a commercial modeling job. And just to make sure everybody knows, so there's two kinds of modeling. There's fashion modeling. There's commercial modeling. Fashion models are, the women who are, and sorry, I can't do the conversions, but it's 5'9" to 6 feet tall. Their measurements are going to be 34, 24, 34. Men who are doing fashion modeling, they're going to be 6 feet to 6 feet 2, wear a size 40 jacket, and they walk runways. That's their job. Their job is to promote high-end designer wardrobe. And essentially, and I don't mean this in a negative way, their job is to be a walking coat hanger, to make the wardrobe look great as they're walking the runway. That's nothing that interests me. What I really wound up loving doing and really still enjoy doing it's called commercial modeling. We are the people that you will see on packages, on billboards, on posters, in magazine ads, newspaper ads. And unlike the fashion modeling industry, commercial models come in all shapes, sizes, looks. I've worked with kids who are 2 and 3 months old. I've worked with people in their 80s and every age in between. What has gotten me a lot of work as a commercial, and I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of commercial modeling jobs. And as you can see, it's not because I'm a good looking person. It's because 2 reasons. It's because I look like everybody's next door neighbor. I just look like a regular person. And that's my strength, which is also something I want to share with people. You don't have to be, the most beautiful person or striking person to be a successful actor. Yes, there are some, the stars, yeah, quite a few of them are, incredibly attractive. But there are tons and tons and tons of very successful actors who are character actors. And so for me, my strength is I am somebody that you believe, somebody that you like, someone that you would share information with. And I know the categories and what my type is. So I'm the highly educated, which I'm not, but I have that look. I'm the doctor, I'm the lawyer, I'm the therapist, I am the politician. I'm somebody that you trust, someone that you will open up to. That's my strength. And so instead of fighting it and always maybe trying to go after the good looking guy, I'm not going to get those kinds of jobs. So don't let your ego get in the way. So with commercial modeling, it's very similar. Those are the areas I typically get booked in. But, and here's the but, I use my acting skills with commercial modeling. So if they need somebody who has an upset stomach, has a horrible headache, has bad allergies, I use my acting skills and portray that person as feeling miserable. And I can do it in a believable way and also show a wide range of not just the same shot over and over and over and over and over again. I can show them subtle differences in each shot, and it gives the photographer and the people from the ad agency or the client choices and many options. And that's why people have enjoyed working with me. And that's why I have gotten a lot of repeat business from those places, because they know when they hire me, they're going to get something that will work. It's like going out on a blind date. You go out with somebody for the very first time. If you have a really good time with them, why wouldn't you want to go out with them again? So anyhow, I love doing commercial modeling. The very first job that I had in the industry was a commercial modeling job. And I was supposed to be somebody at the airport. And I just had this very uptight kind of look and kind of snooty kind of look. And I can't remember what the product was. And there were three of us in the shot, and we all had a very similar kind of look. And the funny thing was, I didn't even know what commercial modeling was. The agent just called and said, "Hey, I've got a job for you." Great. And so I got a lot of on-the-job training for commercial modeling.
Right. It means you make difference through doing and displaying rather than saying and speaking.
And that's exactly, you are 100% right. With commercial modeling, even though I do view them as acting jobs, there are no words. These are still photos. And you have to be able to believably show this look. It can't be through dialogue. It has to be through your facial and body expressions. So what I do is, and I'll just share a quick technique. I mean, I do whole workshops on this stuff, but the technique is, so if I'm looking into the camera, if I'm supposed to look into the camera, and sometimes you don't, but if I do, I will slightly turn away and I will say a word to myself. I will say maybe two words, sometimes make a sound. And it is based on a real experience I've had in my life, a real emotion, just like with an acting job. And then I'll look back into the camera. Boom, we do the shot. I look away from the camera, do the same dance, come back. And that's what allows me not to look like a model, because I'm not just staring into the camera with 1,000 pictures being taken. It's just looking away, recharging my batteries, coming back. And it's like, yeah, I'm good. If I need to show confidence, yeah, I'm good. And then I come back to the camera. So yeah, these are acting jobs, but yeah, like you said, no words. You have to show everything through facial and body expressions. And what I find is, if you're thinking it and you're feeling it, that energy just shoots out of your eyes. And that's what grabs people's attention. That's what they want to see.
Right. If you had to sum up your coaching style in one or two words, what would it be?
Yeah. You know what? Nobody's ever asked me that one before. Um, I'll tell you exactly how I would do it. I'm very respectful. I respect what the person is doing. And that's how I go into every single session. Look, I've been to lots of classes. I walked out of one or two because I didn't like the teaching style. I don't need to be reprimanded. I don't want to be made fun of. Teach me. You don't have to destroy me and build me up to get to a place. When I work with somebody, I have so much respect for what they're doing. Most people dream about being an actor and they never fulfill it because they don't go after it. They don't try it. They just think about it. They don't have the courage to do it. And it does take courage because you might get a lot of people in your life who tell you, are you out of your mind? You know, you should be going to engineering school. You shouldn't be trying to act. It doesn't make any sense. And so I have so much respect for anybody who spends the time to really learn how to get started in the industry. And that's how my sessions go. I'm very humble with the way I go about doing things, and yeah, just very respectful. And the one other thing I just wanted to mention about that, look, it's not a all in or all out kind of thing. And what I mean by that is most of the people I know who act don't do it full time. Most people have a full-time job, or maybe they're a full-time student, and they periodically take time off, do an audition, maybe they work on a project. And even if you have a full-time job, there are certain projects they shoot in the evening, they shoot on weekends. So there are ways of still going about fulfilling your dreams, even if you're not doing it, as a full-time job.
All right. As you have written, you can say that a wonderful book, How to Become a Successful Actor and Model. It's highly praised, I think. What is the key lesson you hope readers must take away from it?
So and thank you, how to become a successful actor and model. I tell you, the key thing is when you read the book, you're going to learn that there are some very specific things that you want to do in order to have success. When I got started, I didn't have a clue as to what to do. I did things by trial and error. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't work. Sometimes it took me down paths that I shouldn't have gone down. I spent money sometimes unnecessarily. And even though I learned from those experiences, I wish that I had a book that was like a cookbook, which is what How to Become a Successful Actor or Model is. It's a cookbook that walks you step by step and teaches you very specifically everything from putting together the right kinds of headshot, how to put together a resume that people expect to see, even if you have little to no experience, the best way to prepare and approach agents, how to market yourself, how to deal with contracts, how to shoot home auditions, all about commercial modeling, what kind of photos do you want to put together. So at least this way, you're not just going into things blindly, and you'll have a real step-by-step process of knowing what to do.
Before coming to the last question, we have second last. Looking at the younger generation, what qualities do you think they need most to thrive in this industry?
That's a really good question because it's hard. When you are a salesperson and somebody doesn't want to buy your Mac computer, you don't take it personally. It's okay. So you don't like Macs, you like PCs. That's fine. Then you move on to somebody else. For us, when we don't get the audition or we don't get the booking, what they're saying is, we don't want you. So I think an invaluable lesson, once again, took me years and years to get to this place. but you can't take anything personally in this industry. These are all business decisions. Now, I'm not saying that maybe your skills need to be worked on. Maybe you need to get better at what you do for auditioning and just acting skills in general. That's very possible. It's also possible you gave a phenomenal audition, and for whatever reason, you weren't the perfect person for this particular role. And so you have to learn, if you are a good person and you don't book any jobs, you don't get an agent, you're still a good person. Don't base your self-worth on how well you do in the industry, because that can take you down a really dangerous place. People who have tremendous success and only feel good when they are working and people are asking for autographs and people want to do selfies with them, and you surround yourself with all these yes people who will just say anything to you, that's a dangerous place to be, because at some point, some of that stardom will fade and people will stop remembering you. And if the only thing that's making you feel good about yourself is how people are talking about you and treating you, at some point you're going to be really miserable. So I highly recommend that you stay humble, you surround yourself with people that you care about, people who you trust, people who are willing to say no to you, people who are comfortable in saying, you know what, you're doing some crazy things here, you need to stop. Those are the people you need to continue to surround yourself with. But most importantly, please don't take anything personally in this industry.
Okay, before wrapping up our this session, I would like to have a quick fire round. What comes to your mind without thinking, you can just say at that moment. If you want to get some moments to ready, please get few seconds. I will ask certain questions. Okay.
Uh-oh, you're making me nervous here.
It's another acting. It's, you can say, the acting that I'm doing right now. I try to act. I try to act to make you nervous. You are just kidding. You are just kidding. I know it. May I start it? It's very simple.
I'm sorry. Would you ask that again? I'm not sure what the question was.
I want to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Without thinking, you have to respond. There may be two things you are going to, for one thing, what you like. I say one question, you will get the idea. It's very simple. It's not, you can say, the mathematical question. It's just, you can say, the statement. Just one thing. What would you like, coffee or tea?
That's a hard one because I love both. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you see this picture behind me. I have a cousin. I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I have a cousin who spent a lot of time in Pakistan. He used to love to travel there many, many, many years ago. So I've got a few photographs from Pakistan. It's a tea shop. So I guess I'm going to go with tea. I like both, but I'm going to go with tea.
Okay, you have to go for one thing, not
Tea.
the both things. Okay, what first comes to your mind? What pop-ups? Okay, go for that. City lights or country nights?
Definitely not city lights.
Okay, that's right. You can say the favorite movie you have worked on.
Oh boy. Just because we were talking about it, I'm going to go with A Man Called Otto.
Okay, right. One word that describes you best. One word.
Kind.
Right. If you could have dinner with anyone, who would be? Maybe it be a living person or you can say a dead person. What would you like to have a dinner with any person?
My grandfather, who I never met.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Aaron, for these wonderful insights and for playing along it. It has been a pleasure to have you on our show. Before I'm going to wrap it up, to our audience, I would like to say something. Don't forget to check out Aaron's book, and coaching programs for more invaluable advice. Until next, be tuned and be curious and stay up to the mark. Um, we will share his links with our, you can say, this video. And if you have to ask something, please write in the chat box. We will respond to you later on. Thank you very much for staying with me and sparing a lot of time.
Well, thank you, Naseem. And I was just going to mention, if anybody has any follow-up questions, please just go to howtoactandmodel.com and there's a contact button. I'm more than happy to at least try, if I can, answer your question. I'm not that smart, but I will do my best at trying to answer your question. So please feel free to do that.
Thank you.
Great.